Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. This is a particularly difficult subject for me, so I'd like to formulate my thoughts and put them on paper to make sure that I'm able to get my message across effectively enough. So you may recall I was here before you last session regarding the childhood sexual abuse I suffered and the need for my legislation. I noticed some oppositional testimony against my bill last year, which reveals that perhaps there are some who do not really comprehend what child abuse feels like. I would like to color in that picture to make it a bit clearer for those who are not able to understand it, and why the penalties we impose should at the very least slightly match the crime. Suspended sentences are wholly insufficient for a guilty first-degree sex offender who pleads down to second degree and then escapes jail time. I had no way to cut a deal to escape the abuse I suffered. So why should my offender escape consequence? How do I escape my lifelong consequences? To be clear, as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, I can tell you that it is a very lonely place. It is outright murder of the soul. When you are abused, you are the property of your abuser, as you are the subject of their dictates and control. You must do what you are told. You must live with the constant awareness that at all times that you cannot step out of line, make the wrong decision, the wrong move, without potential severe consequences at any given moment, depending on his mood. There is no escape. You perpetually walk on eggshells. For the pedophile, it is about power and control. Imagine as a child, for example, being sat on or held down by an overpowering adult much larger than yourself, without any means of escape, while the pedophile has his way with you. You are powerless to resist. Liberty is not a part of the equation for you. You don't get to choose whether or not you want to be released from bondage. That personal choice is not yours to make. Any of this sound familiar? It doesn't end there, because the abuse travels into every aspect of your life. You don't get to enjoy restful sleep most nights because your abuser relentlessly feels like having some fun late into the night. You can't do your homework or even retain what you learned because at the whims of your abuser, your studies are constantly interrupted every single day. It barely ever stops. You don't get to take off your sweater during an 80-degree sweltering hot school day, because you need to keep that on to cover the bruises, the cuts, welts, scrapes and bruises, scratches. Regardless of whether you are feeling well that day or not, you must remain at the ready to pull a distraction tactic when you notice your abuser assaulting your sibling, so you can protect him even at your own expense. You must spend your childhood years trying to devise a way to escape without getting anyone hurt or killed. Afterwards, you must then spend years trying to overcome the effects of abuse on not just yourself, but on your entire family. Every person in that family is now affected, not just the victim, every single person. For those who don't realize, most victims will never come forward to bring charges because they already suspect that the system will fail them. I would know because I felt it for years, even after I did come forward. No one wants to relive such a horrific experience only to be let down like I was. Therefore, don't expect statistics to give you an accurate reflection on how many offenders escape justice. Numerous offenders escape because of the potential slap on the wrist, so the cases go unreported. Therein is the exact problem. It needs to be addressed. Otherwise, people may instead decide to take matters into their own hands where the justice system fails them. Justice is liberation for the victim, and it's time to take off the shackles. The fact that we haven't done more for these silent victims is an absolute travesty. Do we condone pedophilia? Why is Rhode Island soft on crime against children? I ask you, how will we be remembered if we don't do more to protect all victims of such heinous crimes? I ask you today to please help pass this legislation once and for all. On another note, and in conclusion, and I am going somewhere with this, I would also like to say that it defies logic that I would confide any personal details of my case to an opponent of my bill. Anyone who watched my Capitol TV interview last session knows the details. It was also noted by some experts who worked on my case that my case was unusually strong for a 40-year-old case. I tell you this because I refute the false testimony provided last session from one of the opponents of my bill, wherein he twisted the facts and my words. Further, he insulted the entire House of Representatives, specifically my Democrat colleagues, by suggesting that they were less than sincere when they passed my legislation. Not only do I resent his comments, but I ask you to please dismiss the now deemed non-credible testimony given by Nick Horton. As the victim, I am a much better witness than he could ever hope to be. His sore lack of empathy for victims of abuse while grossly minimizing this major violent crime and instead advocating for leniency on behalf of abhorrent pedophiles is quite frankly offensive and a monumental disgrace. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and please, let's finally get this legislation passed.